Guys, if you have been feeling like MA plans are tightening up their extra incentives and benefits and SSBCI is loosening and gaining all these extras, you're not crazy. This is Ansel with probably a 6 or 7 Medicare Minute. We're going to hit this question. It's a great question I got, and away we go. Talk about 2 separate buckets here. In this first bucket, we're going to have traditional MA plans, just a standard regular HMO or PPO, right? Their supplemental benefits are going to include dental, vision, hearing, over-the-counter prescriptions, transportation, meals on wheels, gym, that sort of thing. Then the second bucket, we got those SSBCI, or special supplemental benefits, usually for the chronically ill. These are benefits that are not primarily health related in the traditional sense, but they are allowed by CMS if they are tied to a chronic illness and a reasonable expectation of improving or maintaining health and or function, I guess, for the member. So the story then is not MA plans are evil for cutting benefits on a traditional Medicare Advantage plan, or that plans are generous for the SSBCI or those who have chronic conditions. It's that MA plans are currently under extreme financial and compliance pressure. So they're being selective about what they offer and to whom, or what's going to give them the best bang for their buck. 2 big forces I would try to understand as an agent. First would be this: Medicare Advantage plans have payment accuracy and risk model phase-in that's coming over the next 3 years. So CMS has finalized a newer MA risk adjustment model and is phasing it in over the next 3 years with full implementation targeted for payment year 2026. What that means is risk score math and revenue are in transition for Medicare Advantage across the board. And when those plans feel uncertainty or pressure in the revenue, they're going to manage that in their rebate dollars as well as their supplemental benefits design. Finally, Kaiser Family Foundation, KFF, it's a great website or group if you've never used them before. They've been tracking that some of the headline extras in MA plans have been declining in availability over the past 4 to 5 years. So for example, fewer plans right now are offering certain dental vision allowance or over-the-counter style flex offerings compared to prior peaks. And that's back from 2021 and 22. 2025 was not an isolated event. We're seeing plans tightening and refining their benefit strategy, and I'm projecting the same 2026 after bid season. So SSBCI has grown most aggressively compared to any other regular MA in the nation, even group MAs. And MA plans can justify targeting those people with chronic conditions and social needs because the rebate dollars they get back for doing this. And Kaiser is showing that those people who have a diagnosis like this in the SSBCI are receiving greater benefit from the Medicare Advantage plan. Now, SSBCI is attractive because it is targeted. It ultimately can be designed around those high spend members, and it can support a plan's outcome strategy. This isn't just like some marketing thing for Medicare Advantage. This is a major appreciation of dollars to them. And it's not a free-for-all because CMS does have expectations around how the benefits are described, how they're administered, how they're reported, especially if a plan is using those prepaid flexi cards that we used to hear all about. So if you're seeing more SSBCI investment while those standard MA extras get trimmed, you can explain that. MA plans are prioritizing targeted spend or what gives them the best buck per their buck, right? Higher accountability on benefit operations, and now they are more focused on documenting what the benefit is, who qualifies for it, and then how it's. Okay, now let's shift into the mechanics of how these plans operate and who qualifies, because this is where a lot of agents accidentally end up miseducating clients, or clients are miseducated from some commercial they saw on television or YouTube. Now, what SSBCI is not. SSBCI is not everyone gets a flex card. It's not a plan can give anything to anyone because they have a diagnosis. That's not reality. However, what SSBCI is that it's a supplemental benefit category that a plan can submit to Medicare as part of its annual benefit package process. So CMS outlines their expectations, right, for how plans structure and report their extra benefits, especially if they're being delivered via a prepaid flex card or some kind of allowance style program, right? And the member side reality is going to be that they have to qualify either as, not either. They have to qualify as chronically ill under that unique plan's criteria, and then the benefit must be available based on that plan and that county's design, and there is a documentation or at least a process that determines eligibility, not just them signing on an MA plan that they have these diagnoses, but from a doctor. In fact, let me give you some clean examples so that you're not overselling this thing, right? Standard MA versus SSBCI. So we're talking about over-the-counter extras versus targeted support. A standard MA plan may offer over-the-counter prescriptions broadly, right? Whereas on the SSBCI benefit, they may offer additional supports, but only for those members who meet the plan's chronic illness criteria, and then they can only administer it as the plan has defined and reported what that extra incentive is. I'll give you another example. When we're talking about general extras in an MA plan being trimmed versus expansion on SSBCI, if a plan had to choose between paying a broad extra benefit for everyone or targeting those higher need individuals with a benefit the plan believes supports outcome and stability, you can see why an MA plan would target those SSBCI members. It's a bigger strategy, and it's also more dollars, especially to those for S&Ps, right? To keep yourself compliant as an agent, if you're writing SSBCI plans, instead of saying something like, hey, this plan gives you a flex card, you can use it at Walmart, maybe you say something like, this plan has standard extras and additional SSBCI benefits for members who qualify. We just have to determine your eligibility and that these things can be administered to you. My takeaway then, pretty simple. Standard MA benefits are getting more selective, and that's the reality. They're going to be more disciplined. The data has backed this trend over the past 2 years, and it's not slowing down. SSBCI will continue growing as long as CMS is allowing MA plans to target those in the S&P areas with prepaid cards, with allowance benefit structures, with extra incentives. And we as agents need to stay compliant and protect our book, not by overselling SSBCI, but explaining the conditional base qualification and plan rules that are required, not just by MA plans and AHIP, but required by CMS for a good agent to educate on, but not promise. Because ultimately, even if you think someone qualifies for that SSBCI plan, a physician or someone in their health records has to sign off on it, and then the MA plan can administer it.